Versatile Mage. Chapter 16 New Female Teacher. Tang Yu. Will your husband be okay, seeing as how he went into the mountains? Mo Fan asked. Who would have known that there'd be light-colored warnings outside the city? It indicates that the residents shouldn't carelessly wander deep into the mountains. He kept saying that the hunter squad lost some supplies while they were following the tracks of a one-eyed magical wolf and that he had to personally deliver them. He's just a logistics employee, yet he even has the guts to do this kind of life-threatening work. Your dad, no matter what I told him, still wouldn't listen, Mo King answered. My dad went as well. Mo Fan's face immediately changed. Yeah, they said it would pay a lot. Even mage apprentices are too afraid to accept their call, yet these two normal people. If nothing happens, then that's fine. However, if something really were to happen, what'll happen to us? Mo King said. Auntie, don't worry, they must have considered this already. There won't be any problems. They're just delivering it to a designated outpost, and the roads from the city to the outpost are still within the safe zone, Yi Xingxia said from the side. Either way, I just wish the two would obediently do their jobs within the city. I get worried when they leave the city, Mo King whispered again. After hearing Mo King's complaints, Mo Fan began to have a bad feeling. Father hasn't come to my school to see me for the past 6 months. It turns out he picked a different road. He went to deliver goods to the hunter magicians patrolling outside. This job is indeed very dangerous compared to his former job where he'd only deliver goods to wealthy people. Although it was winter break, Mo Fan wasn't free at all. After staying at Auntie's place for a few days, Mo Fan returned to Tianlan Magic High's library. The library had the information he needed to study, for example, the Black Church, which he had missed out on before. Mo Fan understood what kind of organization the Black Church was after reading about it. Those guys were similar to terrorist organizations, a large, evil cult. They frequently did things that harmed the safety of the people. Additionally, for the sake of their own goals, they would even use living people as cultivation material. Naturally, the country was not lenient on insane acts like that. In the coming month, Mo Fan wholeheartedly meditated. After learning that the lightning element's stardust would dry up and turn completely dark after only using lightning strike twice, Mo Fan began to understand the importance of meditation. Thus, this entire month, despite the great temptation of activating the fire element's skill, Fire Burst, Mo Fan didn't rashly try to come into contact with the fire element's star. He had to solidify his foundation first. As he became engrossed in meditation and treated it as a habit, the time passed very quickly. Soon enough, it was the start of school again. Inside the library, Mo Fan metaphorically swept off the cobwebs that covered his body, ready to meet the new school term. In high spirits, Mo Fan walked into the classroom and sat down at the very back, just like always. Something felt wrong today. Mo Fan looked at Zhang Xiaohe next to him and noticed that this lad didn't look right. Normally, this guy's expression would be like a curious little monkey, a clever one. Moreover, he would incessantly tell Mo Fan about his past few days during class. Today, however, his eyes looked dull, his mouth was slightly open, and his face was filled with an unfathomable, intoxicated gaze as he stared toward the front. Looking around, Mo Fan discovered that the two study Rex, Zhu Qinglin and Lu Shaoying, wore the same expression. It was as though they were possessed. Shoot, don't tell me what Auntie said is true. Is there a one-eyed magical wolf within the city and these guys have all been infected by it? Good morning, class. The teacher for your practical magic class has fallen ill and is currently at home recuperating. From today on, I will be in charge of your practical magic classes. My name is Tang Yu. A mature, beautiful, and bright voice resounded. After being accustomed to the hoarse and slow voice of an old man, the sudden appearance of a mature woman's voice with a charming and sexy tone swept past like the spring wind brushing the ground. This caused the slightly tired Mo Fan to immediately wake up. He raised his head, searching for the origin of the voice with expectation. Mo Fan's eyes went starstruck and his expression appeared enchanted. What the hell? Who cares about the evil-eyed marsh monster that can confuse people's hearts? It was evident that the souls of the males with exuberant hormones were being drawn in by this newly arrived, extraordinarily beautiful female teacher. This teacher, Tang Yu, wore a standard black suit. Between the outer black suit and the white shirt inside were majestic, glamorous curves that seemed about to burst forth. This made Mo Fan wonder whether the little buttons on her chest could really hold up under such pressure. Annoying. This really is annoying. The early morning had always been the time when young men were at their most restless. Stimulated like this, the majority were bound to have rather shameful expressions. It's been half a year since you awakened, and there's not a single person who has been able to use their magic. However, I hope you understand that being able to control an immense power does not mean that you know how to use it. If you don't properly control your powers, they'll backfire on you. Tang Yu quickly entered her teaching mode. Originally, the teacher's earnest and solemn attitude brought many little tyrants back to their senses. Who would have thought that the second she turned around after writing some important points on the blackboard, the entire class would get nosebleeds? What a disaster. Bulging and round, Mo Fan was definitely a normal male student. At this moment, the exact same thought popped into his head. Ahem. How could one let their imagination run wild in a sacred school? Either way, Mo Fan wholeheartedly wanted to study. He was definitely not like the others who only thought with their lower bodies. In any case, I definitely won't wear tight pants to the practical magic classes again. Not every organism can be like a climbing tiger, moving around an obstacle and continuing their business. The practical magic classes went on for the entire morning. After finishing the theory, Tang Yu brought everyone to the field and personally demonstrated the essential keys to magic activation. Mo Fan also earnestly listened to this class. For example, what Tang Yu had said concerning the magic activation link. Mo Fan had already experienced it. It's just, he didn't understand how the buttons on the front of Tang Yu's chest were so durable. It had been so long and they still hadn't burst. Naturally, the school field wasn't meant for radio calisthenics. The field was actually just the practice grounds, divided into several independent spaces using a magic barrier which Mo Fan didn't understand. All the overflowing power would be absorbed by the transparent barrier. This was to prevent harming students who didn't have any abilities. Look closely. I will demonstrate the primary skill of the fire element, fire burst. Tang Yu stood in the middle of the students. The students assembled into a half arc, scattered behind Tang Yu. Whether everyone was really watching Tang Yu's hand seals was something no one could be sure of. Fire burst, it's the skill of the fire element. Brother Mo Fan, wipe your saliva, it's your element's skill. Never did I think that Tang Yu, who looks so tender and virtuous, would actually be a fire mage. Zhang Xiaohe nudged Mo Fan beside him. Oh, I want to learn this. Only then did Mo Fan come back to his senses. Chapter end. Versatile Mage. Chapter 17 The beautiful female teacher's fire element. Currently, Tang Yu maintained an extremely straight posture as she calmly stood there. Her elegant, curvy physique was outlined by the slightly tight skirt, which was particularly captivating. Perhaps because she was new to teaching, her clothing choice seemed a bit hasty, which only added to her charm and gave the students a feast for their eyes. You have to meditate, be tranquil, and concentrate. Even if I am speaking to you right now, my mind is wholeheartedly focused on the fire element nebula within me. Oh, I mean stardust, Mrs. Tang Yu said. Her voice was transmitted to every student's ears. When everyone thought Mrs. Tang Yu was standing still like a statue, a sudden fluctuation appeared in her pear blossom hair. There was not a single thread of wind in the field, yet her hair looked as though it was steaming, scattering lightly around her. Control. At this moment, you need to call out so your star will obey your commands and open the doors to the fire element magic. Mrs. Tang Yu's tone shifted from its usual softness to a solemn one, carrying a hint of arrogance, as though declaring that everything before her should burn. In that instant, all the boys, whose minds had been filled with impure thoughts, were instantly dumbstruck. They widened their eyes, looking at the beautiful female teacher in shock. Aura. That's right, they felt a scorching aura emanating from Mrs. Tang Yu's body, pressing against their faces. There was shock, reverence, and a certain intimidating presence that wiped away any wicked thoughts. Everyone had initially assumed that the newly arrived Mrs. Tang Yu would be an average teacher, someone who would simply give a messy theory lesson, much like the old man before her. They thought that when it came to personally activating magic, she might even make mistakes in her teaching. However, the young Tang Yu before them seemed to have controlled this power for a very, very long time. She was able to teach while controlling her star, and after completing her magic incantations, the intensity of her flames was on a completely different level compared to the old man's, a mere small flame compared to a towering pillar of fire. Remember, after you've finished arranging the stars, you can't relax your thoughts. You must immediately focus on the position of your activation. Her dignified voice resounded once more. Searing flames. Her voice rang in everyone's minds like a magical bell. At the same time, a dazzling scarlet star path emerged around Mrs. Tang Yu's body before quickly condensing in her jade-like right hand. Following this, a fiery red power rapidly grew in her half-gripped hand. It was incomparably violent. With all her might, she threw her arm forward. The flame shot out like an arrow, glowing with a delicate scarlet hue, and then transformed into a bullet, accurately and unmistakably striking the body of the puppet. Gone. How come nothing happened? It hit the target though. The atmosphere grew silent. The puppet hit by fire burst showed no immediate reaction, but Mrs. Tang Yu's aura remained intense. Within the confusion, she slowly turned to face all 48 students in the class. Her young and tender face carried a confident smile at the corner of her lips. Suddenly, a shocking scarlet burst erupted from within the puppet. This was not a slow ignition. It was a violent explosion, as though a wild beast had been released. In less than 2 seconds, the human-shaped puppet was engulfed by scarlet flames, completely consumed into nothingness. The vivid light reflected off Mrs. Tang Yu's beautiful pear blossom hair. Her fair-skinned face appeared even more captivating at this moment. The confident smile at her lips, paired with the reckless flames behind her, made the already stunning teacher appear unrealistically beautiful. All 48 students were completely starstruck. Mo Fan didn't know how the others felt, but his own heart was pounding, not just because she was beautiful and charming, but because when she wielded the power of flames, she radiated a grandeur and confidence that stirred his blood, filling him with worship, infatuation, and reverence. If a woman is only beautiful, she stirs a man's imagination. But when a woman possesses a power others can't even touch, she becomes like poison, impossible to escape from. Only the heavens knew how many boys had set Mrs. Tang Yu as the goddess for life after witnessing this scene. Even Mo Fan was completely subdued by her temperament. Although both she and the old man were practical magic teachers, his magic activation had been lifeless, almost putting people to sleep. Mrs. Tang Yu's activation engraved itself into people's hearts, leaving them excited and unable to calm down. They were on completely different levels. Alright, who are the fire element students in our class? Let me note them down, Mrs. Tang Yu said casually, seemingly used to the students' worshipful gazes. I'm a fire element user, said a girl with a heroic spirit in her eyes, Zhuman, who had caused some commotion during the opening ceremony. Zhuman's eyes were fixed on Mrs. Tang Yu. Initially, she hadn't liked her. How could a teacher wear such eye-catching clothes and have such a gentle, beautiful voice? However, after witnessing that flame burst, Zhuman's opinion had completely changed. Her heart now held a deep sense of admiration. Zhuman's mother was also a teacher, but she was certain her mother couldn't do what Mrs. Tang Yu had done, whether in aura, intensity, accuracy, or sheer power? I am 1 too, Mrs. Tang Yu. I'm also a fire element user. My name is Huang Feifeng, said the only male student who had awakened the fire element, jumping up with excitement. Huang Feifeng's joy was obvious. Having a practical magic teacher of the same element was like having a personal master to pass on their skills. He even dreamed that Mrs. Tang Yu might one day appreciate his talent and develop feelings for him, his very own little dragon maiden. Don't block me. I'm going to the roof. Why didn't I awaken the fire element? Why? Wailed Lu Shaoing, a water element student. Teacher, I am also a fire element user. My name is Zhao Danyu. A thin, stuttering boy stood up. His face turned completely red when he met Mrs. Tang Yu's gaze. Mo Fan sighed. This boy was clearly just an average bean sprout. Mrs. Tang Yu chuckled and said, "You're so thin and weak. Why did your family name you Big Cow?" My body is weak. Father and mother wished for me to become sturdy, like a big cow. Then you should be named Zhao Blabbermouth. Zhao Kunsen mocked immediately, making fun of Zhao Danyu's stutter. Are there more? Mrs. Tang Yu's gaze swept the room. There's only 3 fire element users in the whole class. That's too few. Judging by their auras, only Zhuman had slightly better talent, and her cultivation pace wasn't bad. There's also me. My name is Mo Fan, he said, stepping out from the crowd. Chapter end. Versatile Mage. Chapter 18. Teammates are important. Mrs. Tang Yu's perceptive eyes fell on Mo Fan. While she was probing Mo Fan's aura, her lips couldn't help but open slightly. Mo Fan, you sure have the guts to stand up. A whole school semester has gone by, yet you haven't been able to control a single fire element star. Your star is still dark, so much so that you can't even see it yet. Don't try to act like you're something. Zhao Kunsen immediately said. There had been a test at the end of the last semester to check the tempo of the students' cultivation. As expected, Mo Fan's stardust wasn't any different from when he had first awakened it. The entire class knew this, which naturally gave Zhao Kunsen and Mu Bai plenty to laugh about. If you're an idiot, then you're an idiot. So what if he awakened the fire element? He would never become a mage in his entire lifetime. Your talent in the fire element is very good, so how come your cultivation is so low? Mo Fan, there are numerous people who wish to become fire magicians, and you already have an advantage many people don't. You must put in the effort, Mrs. Tang Yu said with a tone of pity. I understand, Mrs. Tang Yu. Mo Fan nodded. After going through meditation, a magician's spiritual force becomes powerful enough to perceive details normal people cannot. They can also sense the aura of another mage. Through the aura's intensity, one can roughly determine a magician's cultivation level. Mo Fan knew from the start it wasn't possible to hide his cultivation. However, there was one thing. If Mo Fan concealed the power of the lightning element and only revealed the aura of the fire element, then others would only be able to sense the fire element's aura. Thus, they could only determine the fire element's cultivation level while being completely unaware of the other element. That was why Mo Fan could normally just use the fire element to fool people. The moment I decided to focus on the fire element, an amazing fire element teacher suddenly appeared at my door. It seems like there's hope for me to complete the activation of the primary skill, Fire Burst, before the big examination. Mo Fan's confidence immediately increased. Why is this woman looking at me with an odd expression? It seems like she's called Zhuman, the top student in the class and also a fire element user. Mo Fan was puzzled. I don't think I've ever offended this girl, Zhuman, so why is she looking at me with such a hostile gaze? On the other side, Zhuman's brows creased. Seeing the study rec called Mo Fan looking at her, she immediately and ferociously glared at him. Zhuman was unhappy. Extremely unhappy. What qualifications does Mo Fan have to possess better talent in the fire element than me? The homeroom teacher, Zhu Musheng, once said Mo Fan's talent in the fire element was the best in the entire class. During the awakening, the flames were very clear, and now, this extremely amazing Mrs. Tang Yu also commented on how good his talent was. Forget it, there's no need to get angry over this kind of study wreck. Either way, when the annual examination comes and he doesn't meet the qualifications, he'll be asked to leave school. This guy will have one last half year of leisure. I just don't understand. His family situation isn't good, and they sacrificed everything so he could enter Tianlan Magic High. Yet, after awakening the fire element, he's decadent and lazy. How can he face his family? Did a dog eat his conscience? Thanks to Zhao Kunsen and Mu Bai, the entire class basically knew that Mo Fan had been squeezed into the class. Your homeroom teacher has already spoken to me about the importance of the annual examination. First, if you don't meet the requirements, then you'll be asked to leave the school. Second, they'll divide you into different classes based on your grades. If you're placed in the elite class, then you'll obtain certain benefits that will give you an advantage on the Magic University exams. Thus, this school semester, everyone should have no reason not to put in their utmost effort, Mrs. Tang Yu said to everyone. Mrs. Tang Yu, will you be teaching the elite class? A male student asked. Yes, if everything goes according to plan, I will be assigned as the practical magic teacher for the elite class after I've finished teaching you. Tang Yu nodded slightly. Teacher, Yangguo, Huang Faifeng, will definitely do my best. Mrs. Tang Yu, I want to follow you in the future as well. Tang Yu maintained a gentle smile as she could tell her first class today was pretty successful. The students' passion for studying had been ignited. Oh right, when any of you are able to control 7 stars, then come and find me in private. I will take some time off my schedule to teach you more, Tang Yu continued. Clamor. A wolf howl suddenly resounded from the class. 7 stars suddenly became the striving objective for everyone. I'm not too far from 7 stars, Mrs. Tang Yu. Wait for me. Are you for real? How many can you control? 2. Get lost. I can do 3. That's better than you dregs. Huang Faifeng said with pride. 3 stars and you still have the face to act arrogant. I'm almost at 4. Don't you know it gets harder as you progress? Zhu Qinglan said in disdain. That's funny, really funny. You groups of wastes. Mu Bai is already in control of 5 stars. Next semester, he could spend 3 days fishing and 2 days browsing the internet and still be able to reach 7 stars. The first one to work with Mrs. Tang Yu will definitely be Mu Bai, Zhao Kunsen said in ridicule. Whoa, Mu Bai is that amazing. 5 stars. How did he cultivate like that? That's incredible. I heard the most amazing student in the school, the lightning student from class 7, has only been able to control 5 as well. Hearing the discussion surrounding him, Mu Bai felt his entire being float. However, in order to show his mature and collected temperament, Mu Bai didn't reveal his pleasure at the compliments. That would just make him look like a complete show-off. Zhao Kunsen might be a little stupid and unreliable when it came to doing things, but there was one good thing about him. When the master wanted attention but couldn't display it openly, Zhao Kunsen would jump in at just the right time. It's not like Mu Bai could just personally jump out and say, "This daddy can already control 5, every time someone was talking about controlling 3 or 4 stars. That would be too cheap and would ruin his young master temperament. As Zhao Kunsen would say, it fits perfectly. This way, he could show everyone how amazing he was without damaging his manners. Life is like playing League of Legends. Not only do you have to be good at it, but it's also very important for teammates to know how to work with you." Chapter End. Versatile Mage. Chapter 19 Wind Force, Wind Trail. Hot air flowed over the mountains, engulfing the south and replacing the embrace of spring with the humidity of summer. Following this came heavy rain, a good omen, destroying the leaves and leaving the flowers to wither. Bo City was regarded as a city of many seasons. However, sometimes it could get exceedingly unruly. Just this morning, the sun was fierce and bright. There was not a single cloud in the sky for thousands of miles. The nap he took felt the same as the one he took when he crossed worlds, but a strange gust and black clouds suddenly covered the sky. By evening, the torrential rain and wind had turned ice cold. Is there a storm coming? This crap weather, it's random all year round. It becomes whatever season it wants without missing a beat. Zhang Xiaohou complained from within the dorms. Zhang Xiaohou, aren't you a wind element user? Go out into the storm and see if you can activate the primary skill of the wind element, Wind Trail, Lu Xiaoying from the same dorm said. Don't you have the water element? Why aren't you going out and showing the water barrier, oh magnificent water magician? You're still using an umbrella when you go out, aren't you ashamed? Lu Xiaoying's face turned pale. Truly, a water element magician should be able to handle rain without a problem. The issue was, with the annual examination almost here, Lu Xiaoying could only control 4 stars. He was still far from being able to activate the water element skill, water barrier. Zhang Xiaohou, can you really use Wind Trail? Why don't you show us? The truth is, other than seeing that violent girl Zhuman using Fire Burst, we haven't seen anyone else in class use proper magic. The dorm head, who spent every day talking about his lewd thoughts about Mrs. Tang Yu, said, it's not going so well. I can't guarantee 100% success, Zhang Xiaohou said with slight shyness. Monkey, show us. I also want to see what the wind element skill looks like. Mo Fan's eyes lit up as he put down the theory book in his hands. The place is too small. Use the hallway. It's long enough. Okay, let me try. But I'm really not proficient, Zhang Xiaohou nodded. It was already the end of the term, and Zhang Xiaohou had quite the talent. He was one of the very few in the class who could control 7 stars. Everyone was curious about the skills of each element, so naturally, they wanted to see Zhang Xiaohou's. Zhang Xiaohou closed his eyes and began to enter the activation state. He was slow. It was clear he wasn't yet skilled at controlling the stars. He maintained the rhythm of his breathing, which became audible. Whoosh! Suddenly, the books on the table began to move. The dormitory's old doors creaked. The dust on the floor began to rise, swirling around, and even lifted the dirty underwear beneath the bed. As the dorm head reached for it, the underwear elegantly avoided his hands and floated freely in the wind. Wind Trail, fast stride. Zhang Xiaohou's entire demeanor changed. An azure color emerged in his eyes as his lapel fluttered. With his incantations, the toothbrush, cups, and clothing racks clattered about. They all moved along the wind's trail. Mo Fan quickly composed himself to watch. From the swirling dust and junk, he could see an unusual air stream in the dormitory. This air stream originated from Zhang Xiaohou and extended all the way through the hall to the public toilet at the other end. Swoosh! Suddenly, Zhang Xiaohou's figure vanished. The previously motionless Zhang Xiaohou was now moving like a whirlwind, charging out of the dorm and following the faint wind track toward the toilet at the end of the hallway. That's awesome, Lu Xiaoying yelled. The dormitory group squeezed out the door and chased after him. However, by the time they exited, Zhang Xiaohou had already moved from one end of the hallway to the other. Too fast. Any 100-meter sprinter's speed would look pathetic compared to this movement. Mo Fan's heart rippled. The wind element's primary skill was amazing. The feeling of stepping onto the wind track must be incredible. Help! Help! Zhang Xiaohou called. Peng! The hallway trembled. Just as Mo Fan finished his envious sigh, Zhang Xiaohou slammed into the public toilet door. Everyone burst into laughter. The crooked faucet began spraying wildly, and part of the toilet door broke. A strong, fishy stench quickly spread across the entire floor as there was now no door to block it. Cursing voices erupted. The wind track finally dissipated, and Zhang Xiaohou lay on the ground with a bloody nose. As if this wasn't miserable enough, The underwear that had been floating in the wind finally lost its lift and landed squarely on his face. Liu Shaoying and the dorm head quickly dragged him back to the dorm. The dorm head retrieved his underwear and found a bloodstain. Dorm head, I didn't know you had menstruation periods, Liu Shaoying cracked up. Get out of here, the dorm head growled, throwing his beloved underwear into the bin. Mo Fan silently returned to his bed before the residence manager arrived in a fury, acting as if nothing had happened. The wind element's skill was impressive. This movement speed was no slower than a car. It's just that Zhang Xiaohou hadn't mastered it yet. He didn't know how to stop properly. You brats, the annual examination is near, and you're still not meditating. Instead, you're doing this nonsense. If I see this again, I'll skin you alive. The residence manager's roar echoed through the hallway in the wind and rain. The annual examination had finally arrived, and for many, today was a nightmare. There was a chance they would be expelled from school, forcing them to return home in shame to face their parents. But studying magic was not child's play. Every magic high worked the same way. If you weren't suited for magic, you'd be expelled early so you wouldn't waste your time in the boundless sea of magic. For those who had cultivated diligently, today was their chance to show results, especially the ones who could already use their skills. The stormy days had passed. The morning's weather was sunny, and the summer air was clear. Within the Mu Manor, Mu Bai wore a white t-shirt with plum embroidery and neatly ironed trousers. His whole appearance gave off a low-profile air, hiding his family background. With his handsome looks and refined demeanor, he had already won the affection of many girls. However, as a legitimate member of the Mu family, he could never fancy common women. His target was a proud girl like Mu Ningzhu. Of course, if Mrs. Tang Yu were willing, he wouldn't refuse. Mu Bai, you have to show off today. Our Mu family will distribute a few cultivation resources to some of the young disciples. The distribution depends on the family's contribution and the cultivation grades of the young disciples. You have to work hard for this branch family of yours that's almost been forgotten, Mu He personally said as he sent Mu Bai to school in his black limousine. Mu He was the supervisor of Qianlan Magic High and personally arranged the annual examination. No matter what, Mu Bai was still his nephew, and Mu He hoped he would give him face in front of the other supervisors. Uncle, please don't worry, Mu Bai said confidently. As he finished speaking, Mu Bai suddenly thought of something. He turned and whispered, Uncle, I heard that Mu Ningzhu is also coming to Qianlan Magic High today. Chapter End. Versatile Mage. Chapter 20 Stardust Magic Tool. Yeah. Today is a very important day for Qianlan Magic High. It just so happens that Mu Ningzhu started her summer break early from the Empire Institution. I discussed with the family head and invited her, the pride of Bo City, to come to Qianlan Magic High to give you all a lecture, observe the annual examinations this year, and evaluate the quality of the students, Mu He said. Seeing Mu Bai brimming with excitement, Mu He naturally knew what kind of thoughts were running through his mind. He chuckled and patted Mu Bai's shoulder. Don't worry, when it's your turn, I will have her watch together with the family head. When the family head sees how hard you've been working, he might even distribute more cultivation resources to your family. You know how few disciples our family has, and the outstanding ones are even rarer. If the family head notices you and you are given a Stardust magic tool for 2 or 3 months, you'll reap countless benefits. Stardust magic tool. Really, I have a chance to use a Stardust magic tool. Mu Bai's eyes lit up. Of course. Do you know why we are different from common magicians? Superior genes. Family influence. No matter how good these are, they're nothing compared to a Stardust magic tool. If you can become a core disciple within the family, you'll have a chance to receive one. Your cultivation will definitely soar far beyond your peers in school. Mu He explained. Uncle, I will definitely do my best to impress. Cultivation far ahead of his peers. Mu Bai's blood began to boil. No wonder the family disciples were so desperate to cultivate. it turned out it was for the Stardust magic tools. Every magician has a limited amount of time to cultivate. For students like them, 5 hours of meditation was the limit, with the remaining time used for studying theory and knowledge. The Stardust magic tool was the item every magic cultivator yearned for the most. Bai didn't know the exact principles behind it, but he knew that the Stardust magic tool could help cultivators recover their energy more quickly and reduce fatigue. Normally, after spending 5 hours in meditation, they could only use the remaining 19 hours for other activities. The fatigue from meditation meant they couldn't resume immediately. They had to rest their minds through other tasks or sleep. For students striving to advance, that 19 hours of recovery was far too long, yet unavoidable. Continuous focus required an even longer period of rest, otherwise, the mind would collapse. The Stardust magic tool, however, was a divine cultivation device capable of drastically reducing this fatigue time. With less recovery time needed, the daily meditation time could be significantly increased. The difference might be small after only a day or two, but after a month or two, the gap between those with and without the tool would be very clear. After 2 or 3 months of use, they would be in a completely different league from their peers. Meditation efficiency varies from person to person. Some are faster, some slower. But even with slow progress, the Stardust magic tool could help one pull ahead. Those with talent and dedication could achieve twice the results with half the effort. Uncle, you mentioned the elite class students would have the opportunity to use the Stardust magic tool. Is this true? Bai asked excitedly. That's right. Since this is a magic school, there are some cultivation resources available. But they are very limited. With so many students, it's impossible to give everyone a chance to use them. That's why we have the annual examination and the elite class. Students in the elite class will have the opportunity to use the Stardust magic tool. For a period of time. It won't be a problem for you to enter the elite class with your grades. When the time comes, I'll pull some strings behind the scenes to let you use the school's Stardust magic tool a bit longer. For you, this will be quite beneficial. But remember, the school is an equal place. I can't do too much here. What will truly let you soar to the skies is the Mu family's own Stardust magic tool. That is something a common magician could never hope to obtain in their lifetime. You must treasure this opportunity, he said sincerely. Don't worry, Uncle, I won't disappoint you. Saying that to me is useless. You need to prove yourself in front of Ningzu and the family head. He patted his shoulder. Bai nodded seriously, but inside, he sneered coldly. Zhu shouting, so what if your cultivation is on par with mine? So what if you have the lightning element? Behind me is the enormous Mu family. You will never be able to contend against me. Oh right, how's the situation with that kid Mo Fan? He asked casually, as if remembering a beggar he didn't want to give money to. He's trash. He will definitely be expelled from the school, Bai replied without hiding his disdain. Bai truly loathed Mo Fan. When they were young, they had grown up in the same area. Yet, Mo Fan always had a group of followers like some kind of monkey king. What Bai couldn't understand was why the revered and matchless Ningzu had once mingled with them and shared such a close relationship with him. What was he worth? He was like a wild monkey, running around the streets and mountains every day with an arrogant attitude, yet his poverty was plain for all to see. Did he understand what true power was? What family status meant? Did he realize how laughably poor he was, to the point where people would always look down on him? The son of a servant was simply low-born. Without seeing the world, he didn't know what vision was, or what ambition meant. He just lived in his slum house on that foul-smelling street and took pride in working hard. Humph, I'll sign him off. I'll have an explanation ready for Mo Jiaxing as well. It's not that I didn't help. It's just that his idiot son couldn't become a mage even when we gave him a chance to awaken. Sigh. Some people just aren't tactful. They insist on spending huge sums of money just to try. But a loser will never produce anything but another loser. Being poor and useless is something passed down through generations, Muhi said slowly, taking a drag from his cigarette. At that moment, Muhi's eyes were half closed. He looked like a grand and cunning old fox, his face full of disdain and ridicule for the poor. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.